So you wanted to lose some weight, and you go through that process and you lose your weight. Now you've lost the weight. Now what? So it might seem kind of like a silly situation. Like, oh, I lost my weight. I wanted to lose weight. I achieved my goal. But a lot of times we don't really have goals that often in life that are very finite. And weight loss, ironically, is kind of one of those. You might want to get to a certain body fat percentage, but more body fat or lower body fat percentage is not beneficial. So once you've achieved that body fat percentage, you kind of are like, well, now what do I do? And this is a really important topic to discuss because I think, at least for myself, I've made the mistake a couple times when I lose weight of just seeing it as a goal. When you see it as a goal, you kind of miss other aspects that make that goal sustainable. So here's what I mean by that. Let's do a little example. I have two options. Let's say this recently happened. I'm 240 pounds, let's say, and I want to get down to 210 or 200. So I want to lose 30 to 40 pounds. And at 240 pounds, I am overweight to a point where it's affecting my performance. Okay, that's totally fine. So I have one of two options. I can either lose those 30 or 40 pounds very quickly. I can go on a very low, no, maybe very low, but a low calorie diet. Along the way, I might have some cravings and I might have some reduction in energy levels and I might not enjoy the process at all. And it really might impact my training because my fuel is so low. But I can get to that 210 pound mark a lot quicker. The other option is I take my time and I say maybe over the next 6 months, 8 months, I'm going to try and lose this weight. I'm going to try and lose no more than a pound or two a week. Along the way, I might gain a little bit weight back. I might, adjust my eating habits, but I'm going to take this process very slowly. What happens is I've done both of these, and this is more just anecdotal, is that when I lose the weight really quick, I still have all the baggage of being the 240 pound version of myself in terms of habits and cravings. So like my appetite. And also my performance drops off. When I go slowly, I have the ability to make small adjustments along the way. My appetite regulation is pretty normal, and I don't have these excessive cravings, and my performance doesn't dwindle at all. It actually can improve and make progress because I'm eating enough to fuel. In the lose it over a period of time, the longer period of time, there are some things that have really helped with that. Because if I'm just trying to lose a bunch of weight fast, I typically cut out more calories than I should. If I'm not trying to lose a whole bunch of weight really fast, but I still want to lose that weight, I will be better I'll be better organized is probably the right word in terms of nutrient timing because I know I'm not eating as much food, but the timing of the nutrients can affect my workout levels, my workout energy, my output levels. And so if I make sure I eat enough food right before my workout or the right carbs before the workout, I'm able to have an excellent workout still. So in the first example, I lose a lot of weight really fast. It's almost like your body or in yourself doesn't have time to adjust to being that weight. It's like on a scale, yes, you've achieved your goal, and people who are like me, sometimes neurotic about stuff, and you're like obsessive about getting to a goal. Sometimes when the goal is just simply just to lose the weight, you forget all the other aspects of it, the performance, the appetite, and so on. And what happens is when you lose the weight, you get to that 210 pound mark or whatever, you're kind of like, now what? It's almost like you ran a marathon and you finished the finish line and you're like, oh, well, now I'm here. Now what do I do? Well, am I going to just suffer away and deal with these cravings, or am I going to have a bounce back? And a lot of times, that's where me personally, I notice the bounce back becomes to like you'll get down to your weight and then you bounce back up, and then you kind of have this pull whether or not you want to gain the weight back because your performance went down. And you say, oh, my performance went down in the weight room, so maybe I need to add the weight back on, and it just becomes this kind of pendulum effect. Versus more recently, I've been doing a slower approach. I was at 240 pounds. I was basically 210 pounds the other day. Maybe I was at 235, maybe not fully 240, whatever. And I worked my way down, and along the way, I had three things I really wanted to focus on. Number one was making sure that I had appetite regulation throughout the way, meaning that if I lost weight, Sometimes, like if you lose 10 pounds or 5 pounds, whatever, you lose it too fast or however means you're doing it, your stomach, I say that like my stomach is personified. It has its opinion. You are still hungry and you want to eat like you're 240 pounds. My appetite had not regulated to my weight. And one of the things that helped is I kind of do a stepwise progression where I'd lose some weight, then I'd maintain my lifestyle at that weight and see what I liked, what I didn't like, what I need to adjust. And then if I really could find a good holding pattern, then I would lose a little bit more weight and go step by step. And in doing so, you kind of find things that you can toggle back and forth and things that make sense in terms of adjustments for yourself. When you're just kind of linearly decreasing weight, at least for myself, I find that I'm always trying to play catch up with my lifestyle habits. And then you actually don't know either, at least to an extent for myself, how sustainable that period of weight loss is. And what I mean by that is imagine we decided to cut back calories for 2 or 3 weeks. And during that period of time, we have a linear decrease in weight. Now, if I'm just going down in weight, which is the goal, and then I go, okay, well, I'm losing weight and I need to adjust calories again. Well, we haven't fully rode out that small calorie dip because apparently there's still a weight loss going on. So a lot of times you'll cut out calories, or I will cut out calories before I even really need to. And so I cut out an excessive amount more because I want to keep seeing that linear decline. I almost have some sort of associated failure of a goal, right? Because it's a goal-driven model I proposed at the beginning of not hitting that weight. And so I almost will keep trying to play catch up in terms of I should cut this out, versus I realize the stepwise progression in terms of eating habits is even if I level out my eating habits, I'll still have some decrease in that body fat or body weight, whatever you want to call it. And so when I do something like that, I'm able to actually see how much of reduction in calories affecting my performance. Now, I don't actually track my calories. People go, oh my gosh, that's the best way to do it. And that's probably so. I have a very stable diet. I can modify certain aspects pretty easily. When you have a very boring, mundane diet, it's not really hard to regulate. For someone who has a more exciting diet with a variety of options, I can see how that would be beneficial. For myself, not a ton, but it's probably something, it's more of a personal thing because I feel like I would be obsessive about it. But someone who can handle that better than I probably would have a lot of benefit from it. So that's kind of the stepwise progression example in terms of the appetite regulation. Another one part of that is when I maintain that certain calorie aspect, I can modify my eating around my workouts. And that way I can say, if I ate this time, I had more energy, or this time less energy, or I actually didn't need to eat here, but I should have eaten here. And it lets you kind of learn that block of life, whatever that week is, or 2 weeks, or a month is, that you're at that certain calorie standpoint. So you can kind of play around it and mess around with it to actually feel what it is like to be at that weight. Because maybe that's the weight you want to stop at. And then you can make the decision again. And so it's so cheesy, you take the whole big goal and you break up into smaller goals, but it's so you can have informed feedback along the way. And that's been something that's really important for me. I see a lot of athletes who go out, or individuals, but I work with athletes and they want to lose weight in a month or whatever. And you got to think to yourself, I'm losing a bunch of weight in a month or an off season. What is that costing me elsewhere? It takes energy to adapt and train and deal with training and all these demands. So if I'm working really hard and I'm losing weight, that's something that isn't maybe conducive to each other because I'm trying to make gains and have enough fuel to make progress at the same time lose weight. Another aspect of it, from before I kind of sign off here, that I found to be helpful is to not be obsessive with losing it through exercise. Because at times you will cut calories and then you'll want to add in more exercise. So now you're reducing the amount of essentially fuel you have and nutrients to help repair tissues, and replacing a larger demand on fuel and repair for tissues. And so I've found that actually maintaining my workout levels to be very important, and to realize that maybe I don't need to do as much because I'm not eating as much, because maybe I had a lot of fuel some days, and fuel when I was heavier, I'd eat a lot of energy, I'd work out a ton. I understand that at times my performance might sacrifice when I make a small adjustment in calories, maybe just for a small period of time. So it's not like trying to overdo that aspect of it. Those are some things I've taken note of and some things that have been beneficial for me and hopefully for you, because once you lose that weight, you're kind of like, now what do I do? Well, if you worked your way into it, there is no now what do I do. You're just living the current lifestyle habit. You've hit the last plateau, and that's your existence right there. And then you can decide, because you have some sort of stable platform to stand on, to navigate yourself for the next aspect that you want to do. Maybe you want to stay at that weight. Versus if you just kind of nosedive right into it, and you get there, then you might not have the informational understanding of what it's like to be at that weight, and then to navigate either up a step or down a step or whatever it might be. If we thought about the stepwise progression, there isn't one, it's just a big hill. So you got to run back up the hill or roll back down. You get the idea from a metaphor standpoint. That's something that's helped me quite a bit for the weight loss aspect, and I think that's more realistic for a lot of individuals. Because at the end of the day, once you lose the weight, it's like, now what? If it's just a goal to lose the weight, that's not the world's most difficult thing at times for certain people. But what's difficult is that sustainment of a lifestyle at a body weight you want to be, especially if you just ran to that weight and you didn't make any adjustments along the way. And that process was very strenuous and not very enjoyable. Well, now you're here, and to maintain that, it's going to be strenuous and not very enjoyable. So that's my take on the weight loss aspect of it. As always, thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoy. Appreciate you all. Take care. Feel free to share and subscribe. Thanks.